No thanks.
You should play some Beauty with Bullman in it.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, that's it.
Why did you have to shag Boswell?
You did what?
Why did you have to shag Boswell?
Bastard.
Shag her up the ass.
Did the finger her and all?
Oh, Jason.
Boswell.
You should have never shagged Boswell.
They're just trying to get to a sister, I bet.
You should have never shagged
Oh,
Boswell.
Spenny.
Shagged her up the
Come on, let's
ass.
sing this Ray song.
Yeah, let's do this.
So, Jason, don't you ever shag Boswell. Don't you ever shag Boswell. Shag her up the ass.
Come on, everybody join in.
Oh, Jason, why did you have to shag Boswell? Why did you have to shag Boswell? Shag her up the ass.
Come on, Mum, join in.
Oh, Jason,
Nice singing, Mum.
don't you ever shag Boswell. Don't you ever shag Boswell. Shag her up the ass.
Cats, come on. Let's hear you singing.
Oh, Jason, you should have never shagged Boswell. You should have never shagged Boswell. Shag her up the ass.
Come on, the Queen and Prince Charles.
Oh, Jason,
That should have never shagged Boswell.
I should never have done it, mate.
That should have never shagged Boswell.
Bad move.
Shagged her up the shit
You fucking dirty bastard.
Hey, good God, that's a filthy fucking song, absolutely filthy. But it's interesting going through all this, all these old recordings here that are in the back room here. How you doing, Dinny? Mate, you well? I got creating my reality. I remember creating my reality from last night. How you doing? I'm not sure if I should assign pronouns or not. I'm not going to assign pronouns just in case. So, good evening and welcome, welcome, welcome. So here's Jimmy again. One more week on Super 8, as was interestingly pointed out last week. Of course, Paul, of course, I have to keep remembering. It's I'm getting confused with last night. Paul, yeah, I'm getting used to your new moniker. Getting used to the new moniker. How you doing, Rob? Are you well, bro? Are you how you doing, Rick? So I hope you've been having a good week. It's been lovely here. Absolutely lovely, right? It's great to get a bit of summer. What's left of it, like, now at the moment, like with the sun heading sort of like further south in the evening sky. It's like in the daytime sky even as well too. It's like we're now into autumn, and it's kind of like, oh God, just this summer just seems so short. So I'm going to be on patrol tonight. Definitely on patrol tonight. I'm looking out for a bunch of cunts, right? No doubt about it. I made a decision there during the week. It says, right, okay, it's become apparent that there's a couple of fucking cunts in the chat, right? And I didn't actually realize it, like how bad it was, like until I done the after show with Rob there during the week, and just like, really? They said what? Holy shit, man! And it's like, okay, normally I wouldn't give a fuck. Normally I wouldn't give a flying fuck what anybody's fucking saying. Like generally, like apart from all you lads out there, like and lassies, like I've a lot of time and respect for all the regulars and the people who sort of like contribute and treat each other with kindness and stuff like that. Like, but one thing that sort of like struck me was like I called into Rob's chat just for a little bit of a howdy doody and just to say hi. And I got inundated. I absolutely got inundated with complaints about Saturday night. And I was like, what? What's going on? What the fuck's going on? And Jimmy, there's a pair of cunts and they don't fucking like you, right? Okay, right. Okay, there's a pair of cunts, okay. And I was told in no uncertain terms, if I see those bastards again, I'm going to boot them, right? I'm just going to boot the cunts. I says, don't worry about it. If I see the cunts, I will fucking boot them and it's not because I'll tell you what, there's no such thing as free fucking speech, right? Okay. And if people are getting upset, like if long-standing members who are actually known to the community here are upset and stuff, I'll tell you what, your free speech doesn't exist, right? So I'll tell you what, mods, I will deal with the bullshit. I'll fucking deal with the cons, and I'll save you the, uh, the the hassle of having to fucking deal with it. I'll just boot the cons. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. I'm fuck him, right? Fuck him. What's the point, right? Um, Normally I wouldn't give a fuck, like but you know, it, if it's going to end up that I'm going to get chased around the interzones like with fucking complaints about fucking Saturday night, and it says, "All right, Jim, look, you you deal with this, right? You fucking deal with this shit, like, and just get rid of it, because nobody knows who the fuck they are anyway. Well, there's a few people who think they know who the fuck they are, like, but I'll tell you what, I'll fucking deal with the bastards, right? And we don't need them. We don't fucking need them. So I did. I made that decision there. Over the last couple of days, I was hemming and hawing, like, do I give a fuck? And but the fact of the matter is, if I go in for a quiet chat, like with my friends midweek, just on some uh, chat room, like, and I've got fucking Saturday night following me around. This is okay. This is not worth it. Like, this is my fucking chillax night. This is a night I don't have to be dealing with bullshit, you know. And I don't want this fucking bullshit fucking following me around, like, and I don't blame anybody in the chat, like, who took offense to what was being said. I don't blame any of you. You know, that's okay. I'll accept that, like, but I'll tell you what, I will fucking nip it in the bud and save you the fucking hassle of having to deal with it, like. Yeah, Denny, yeah, not worth the word, but it is worth the fucking word, right? Because it's chasing me around. It's chasing me around on the interzones, right? I just wanted to fucking have a chat with you guys the other fucking night, and I had to hear about this bullshit from fucking Saturday night. I was doing my best to fucking pay attention to the chat and just improve on that fucking level. And then just to get all this fucking negative commentary, and was like, who are these fucking pair of cons, right? And okay, well, it doesn't matter who the fuck they are. I'll tell you what, they're out on their fucking ear, right? They'll be out on their fucking ear the minute I fucking see the cunts show up, right? That's what's going to happen, right? And it's not going to cost me a second fucking thought, like, because fuck it. Look, this channel is moving. The whole community is fucking moving, and do we need the whole fucking crew? No, we fucking do not. How you doing, Bebe? Thanks for joining. Go full Terminator. Yeah, going full Terminator now tonight, like, but the crew are safe. The crew are safe. Like, I love negative commentary from, but like when the community are getting upset about it, I have to pay attention. So basically, the gloves are coming off, right? And if any of those pair of cunts say anything out of fucking line, I don't know if they know who they are, but I'll tell you what, they probably do know who they are. If you know who you are, you best either fuck off, right? Piss off, get the fuck out of Dodge, don't show your fucking faces around here anymore, or I will oblige you, right? And fuck you off, right? Basically. And that's assuming I can get to you before somebody else does, right? Because I'll tell you what, there's a bunch of rabid fucking moderator dogs in this chat out for blood at the moment. And so, but I'm hoping that I get there fucking first and save them the fucking hassle, right? So, 'cause I'll tell you what, we don't need fucking bullshit at fucking artists, and especially bullshit artists we don't even fucking know who they are, right? Nobody fucking knows. How you doing, Steve, mate? Are you well? Jenny saying, don't be rude. Jenny, would I be rude? Ah, that's not in my character at all. It's not in my character at all. I'm the most unrude individual you will ever fucking meet until you piss me off. And when you piss me off, right? Paula, how you doing, Paula? I've got a story for you, girl. I've got a story for you. The part of the show is going to be devoted to one of your questions tonight. So don't let me forget about that. But I'm just dealing with some um, what, house stuff at the moment. Just dealing with some house stuff at the moment. Like we're going to be cleaning house of a bunch of fucking cunts. That's what's going to happen, right? And we will restore order around the place. No, Steve, no stream ban for a couple of weeks. It'll be permanent, right? It'll be just permanent. It'll be get the fuck, right? Get the fuck out of here. That's it, no, there'll be none of that. There'll be no fucking around. It's just get the fuck out of here. Do not fucking show your face around the place again. And normally I wouldn't bother, but it's just because it's just chasing me around the interzones. It's like, I've tuned into Dr. Rob on Tuesday night just to have a chat with the boys and the girls, and all I had to hear was, oh, it's such and such on Saturday night. It was just, right, okay, right. Well, we'll fucking deal with the cunts, right? We'll deal with the cunts. So it was good to see you all there last night for Paul's show. Oh, Pete's show. I have to get used to Pete. It was actually quite good. He was very, very good. I'm looking forward to see what he comes out with. I know he's kind of like very, very holistic. I'm not sure it's 100% my scene, but the impression I got from Pete was that he's a lovely character, right? An interesting character, and he was very, very tuned into the chat and very, very engaging and willing to talk on a variety of topics. And he was being very wary about talking about anything coof related and stuff like that. So I can respect that, so. And it was great to see everybody there. Obviously, I don't know Pete. I didn't even know of his existence really until last night. Yeah, Pete, Jenny, good God, maybe somebody can help me out, and because everybody else seems to know him, but I didn't know him. I'll go back in my YouTube history and see if I can get the name of the channel up for you, just so that you know who I'm talking about. But apparently he's been well on the scene now for a long time. And let's just see, I've watched a good bit of shit over the last couple of days. So it shouldn't be too hard to find him back. Yeah, Reality Chat. Reality Chat was what it was called. I can see his picture here. Reality Chat. All I know is that he's called Pete, but he was, and yeah, I said Peter. Oh, it's not Pete, it's Peter, right? So yeah, Peter. It was interesting. I actually enjoyed last night. So I was just thinking to myself there today, nearly every day of the week now is full with people doing something. Like it's only one show a week, so like you got your Cookie and Pete doing Mondays, and then they got their comedy show on Wednesday. That's for Dinny, just in case you didn't know that Pete and Cookie's comedy show was on Wednesday night. And then we got Dr. Robin on Tuesday, and we got Steve on Thursday, and then we've got now Peter on Friday, and then of course this fucking Gumbean here on a fucking Saturday because obviously he's got nothing better to be fucking doing, no nightclubs to be going to, or nothing happening in his fucking life except coming on fucking line. And then the only free night in the week is the Sunday. So hopefully somebody will come along and fill the Sunday night. I don't know who that's going to be, but I'm pretty sure somebody's going to show up at some stage. Then that will be every night of the week will be sort of like accounted for, and there'll always be a little something going on, which is interesting. So, but Peter last night, yeah, it was very good, and I got the sense he was quite reserved, and I know he's got trepidations about even talking about the COVID and shit like that. You could tell, and that's understandable. Like um, when you're in the situation, you don't even know whether you should even mention fucking COVID at all. But like, no, it's okay. You can mention COVID, like, and Catchies and SW Boxing. Hello, hello, hello. Stop telling porkies hello. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. How are you doing, SW? I hope you're doing well, right? Thanks for that little welcome there. So, yeah, but you can sense the trepidation in channels, right? I mean, if you're somebody like, Nurse Hypocrisy, or sort of like what's the other, Philippe McNeilin, coming on talking about the COVID, you can get away with saying nearly fucking anything you want. Like, for some reason, whatever it is about those fucking characters, they're allowed to have fucking free reign, and they get the odd sort of like slap on the wrist. So whether they know something that we don't, I don't know. I assume it's something got to do with the YouTube community guidelines, right? And from what I understand is that, like, you can get away with saying a lot so long as you provide context, right? And context seems to be a key issue. I don't know if because like you've probably noticed from watching loads of these sort of like alt media um, producers, that like if you look underneath the video, like just say for example you were looking at RT.com back when they were allowed to be on YouTube, you would say RT.com is funded by the Russian government or whatever, like there's um, and it's usually citing a source from Wikipedia or somewhere like that. It's like Wikipedia will be the source for the context. So a lot of what's going on, like with the community guidelines in YouTube, would appear to hinge on context. So it appears that you can get away with saying quite a lot, but so long as you provide a little bit of context. So like so if we're going to be talking about COVID, and and jabs, like it seems that you might be able to get away with a lot so long as you're only giving your own opinion, but also give the alternate opinion as well to the mainstream opinion, not only just your own opinion, but the mainstream opinion as well too. And as long as you emphasize that, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not ready to go there yet because I don't want to get this channel fucked off the interzones. I feel like Peter last night. You don't even want to fucking talk about it, nearly. Even though, like, it's probably the only conversation in fucking town. Like especially when it comes to excess death and stuff like that. That's if you're following sort of like independent sort of like channels, like where you can talk about shit, like it's like it's in your fucking face, man. Like strokes and fucking cancers and SADS, like, and even children. It's just unreal, like. Thanks, Paula. Yeah, yeah. Friar Tuck. I'm just not fat enough to be Friar Tuck, so we need a new moniker for me. Friar Slim, maybe Friar Slim. I don't know. Yeah, Rob, it's a full house now for the week. Nearly, just Sunday has to be accounted for. Really, SW, I assume you're talking about Peter. I didn't realize that there was that. Oh, do you know what? Look, I just didn't make the connection, SW. Yeah, I think Cookie mentioned it during the week that Peter, there was a Peter Mark 1 and there's a Peter Mark 2, right? Yeah, that's right. Tonight, Cookie and Peter Mark II are playing games on the Interzone. I spotted them. They went live there about uh, 20 to 8 or thereabouts. They went live at about 20 to 8, so I assume they're shooting zombies at the moment. Like it's a Saturday thing they do, like, and one might think, but Jimmy, why did you go live and when Cookie and Pete always go kill zombies on a Saturday? Well, look, very few are interested in killing zombies, right? Nobody, there's not that many I know would sit down watching a couple of lads killing zombies for the whole night. So I think Saturday night is probably okay. You know, if I was to run a show maybe on a Monday or Wednesday, I would consider sort of like a different time or something like that. Maybe very, very late, after Cooking Peter finished, like, if I was going to pick a day, but like, but boys are killing zombies tonight over there on YouTube. So if you get bored listening to this shite, you can always go and watch a few zombies getting murdered. Yeah, I seen that, Robert. Yeah, yeah. Chris was down at the Father Ted homestead, is very, very interesting, like, so I hope Chris is having a great time while he's here in Ireland, and I think he is, and he was up in Donegal with the natives in Donegal there just a few days ago, and then he was over in Antrim and a few places, and it sounds like he was actually having a good time. It sounds like it. How you doing, Tricia? I didn't realize that he was back in England already, like, so that Father Ted, he probably got a bit turned off, like when he went to Craggy Island, right, and he seen Father Ted with the Hitler mustache going like, hey, thick, thick. There was probably a bit of that going on, and probably Chris left in disgust, right? More than likely, I wouldn't blame him, like, Father Ted, he was a right racist. He was a hooer, a fucking hooer, you know. You couldn't bring him anywhere. I remember there was a film being there was one episode of Father Ted, like where there was a film coming to Craggy Island and it was supposed to be pornographic and really anti-Christian, and poor old Father Ted and Dougal had to go under orders from the Vatican to go and protest it, and the pair of boys chained themselves to the rails outside of the cinema. Down with this sort of thing. Down with this sort of thing. And they couldn't wait just to get a little fucking gap just to go in and see the film, like, you know. Where in Antrim? He was up at the Giant's Causeway, didn't he? He put some excellent photographs in of the Giant's Causeway. Oh, good man, SW. I didn't realize. So you're up in Antrim. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, there's some nice sights to be seen up there, I believe. I've never been to Antrim myself now, like, you know, but apart from the Giant's Causeway, I think there's a few other interesting sights to be seen up in Antrim. Northern Ireland's a very interesting place. I remember spending a bit of time there back in my youth. It was very, very strange a few years ago in Northern Ireland. I was very hippie-ish back in my youth. Like, you know, I was very new age and holistic. Like, you know, I'd be the sort that would be sort of like walking around with a deck of tarot cards in my fucking rucksack. Like, and I remember being up in, I think it was Tyrone. I had a girlfriend in Tyrone at the time, and I remember taking the tarot cards out one night because the girls were interested. Like, and I'll tell you what, a row broke out in the fucking house over the tarot cards and fucking Satanism and holy shit, we have a fucking dodgy cunt here. The whole fucking house erupted over the fucking tarot cards. I swear to God. To this day, I will never bring a deck of tarot cards to Northern Ireland again because after what happened to me years ago, it's like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened, man? It's like, but look, Northern Ireland is kind of like back in those days. Like I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago, easily 30 years ago. It was a different place back then. Like the religious divide was much more pronounced than it is now, probably. Like, you know, but uh, back then I got right fucking scared. Like I thought I was going to end up getting burned at the fucking stake that night when I took the tarot cards out. It was like, holy shit, man, am I on planet Earth here or what? Or did I take a wrong turn at Barnard Star? Holy shit. Tricia, you're at the steam rally. An awful day. Long you to get home. So steam rally, and you assume like you're talking about like old engines and stuff like that. Yeah, we've had some excellent temperatures around here last few days, Rob. Like I think 26 we hit yesterday, and I don't think we were too far off it here today either. We will take more of that. Like I think there's a bit of rain due in tonight, but for the most part, we've had lovely, lovely week. It's great to get that summer back. I thought we were goosed, but I had faith. I had faith that we were going to have a good winter. I think we're going to have a lovely, mild winter. I just got this feeling in me gizzard, right? I have this feeling that. Are you serious, Denny? You got 33. Holy crap. That is serious. I would love some of that. Like, I'm living in the wrong country, you know. I'd almost move to Germany. Like, if it just wasn't full of krauts, I'd move there tomorrow. Like, you know, just. Is Uni in the house? Did I get the impression? Did I miss Uni? Uni, my friend, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on Telegram. Yeah, welcome. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on Telegram, bro. It just keeps slipping my mind. Thanks for that lovely offer, right? And I guarantee you, like when we get rolling, when we get fucking rolling, get it all sorted out, like, you know, your help will be much accepted, like, so my apologies for not getting back to you over the last. I know it's been a while since your message come in, like, but I just haven't had, I just haven't been online that bloody much now this last week and a half or so. So, but thanks for those messages, and don't worry, the offer is appreciated. It's wonderful that people want to help out, and there's not much to help with, like, the apart from setting up a new channel and stuff like that, which is just a matter of just setting up a new fucking channel and stuff like that, and there's not that much to do, like, but perhaps as we go forward into the future, who knows? Who knows what we might build if we do decide to go it on our own? And but anyway, thanks for those messages, Uni. Much appreciated. And Trish is not a tarot reader either, so I'm not much of a reader myself. I've had a few interesting encounters with tarot, like, but I tend not to. I'm not into that holistic stuff anymore. It's all very interesting. It's all very interesting, but at the same time, like, here's one for you. Here's one for you. I was watching Dick Algar earlier on today, right? I was watching Dick Algar. He is responsible for crypto viewing, right? Crypto viewing. Now, what they are basically, they're remote viewers, right? They're remote viewers. So, which is quite, it's a fascinating thing, these remote viewers, what they do. But anyway, they get together and they all decide, there's a whole team, and like basically what they decided to do was they made up a target and stuff like that, like, and what they done was a double blind on Bob Lazar, right, from back in the mid 90s to the late 90s, and asking whether it was true or not what they done. Now they also had somebody else on tonight. God, what was his bloody name? Don't tell me. I'm going to have to go back and try to find out what his name was. Was it Timothy or? Hold on, just bear with me a second now, because I've been watching a few bits and pieces now today. So I was actually reading about reinforced A-rated autoclaved concrete as well too. I've been through so much today. So Dick Algar. No, holy crap! It didn't save. Okay, yeah. Here it is. Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan, who apparently is one of the he's big into the Bob Lazar work and looking into UFOs and stuff like that, like, and so they had this double blind thing going on today, and I'm going to relate this back to tarot reading and stuff like that, like, but just bear with me just a moment. But they had this double blind reading of a target, which none of the remote viewers knew, I might add, at the time, allegedly, if you can believe them. Like, do I believe everybody online? No, not likely. Like, but I would just take their word for it anyway. So, and the question was asked, like, is it true what Bob Lazar reported about the UFOs and his story about, like, what he's seen at S4 when he was there as a consultant, like, and I have to say, like, if it's true what the remote viewers seen, and they all sort of had similar images of UFO type craft. Now, keep in mind, nobody knows what they're freaking looking for, right? This is apparently how remote viewing works. Nobody has any clue what the actual target that they're supposed to be searching for is, or who, what, or even they don't even know who even sets the tasks. So um, they have no way of even sort of like even guessing, if we're to believe them, what the topic of the subject might be, like, But it was very, very fascinating that all 6 remote viewers were actually drawing similar types of images of a UFO craft, like with beams coming out of the bottom of it and sucking stuff up into the craft and stuff like that. And it's like, I just thought it was fascinating, like, but I have my own ideas about remote viewing, like, that even though what a remote viewer will see as, okay, well, this is proof that, like, what Bob Lazar said was true. Like, what if these remote viewers were, what's going on is something a little bit more complicated than just like individuals just coming up like with just these grand ideas, like, and all of a sudden that they coalesce. Like, what if it's true that our brains are not brains at all, like, but antennas, right? And if these people are working together with each other all the time, like, is it possible that they're actually tuning into each other and transmitting ideas backwards, or even unconsciously? So, like, whatever the results were of the remote viewing test that was done by Dick Alkire and the crypto viewing team, there may be something to it. There may be fucking something to it, like, but also I'm open to other fucking possibilities. But this tunes back in tarot. Tarot, I think, works the fucking same way, right? Tarot is it's kind of like a form of divination, right? It's actually divination. And what if that you're not actually seeing things that are going to happen in the future, or things that happened in the past, but what if you're just psychically sort of like tuning into the other person's psyche, right? What if you're actually tuning into the other person's psyche because of like human connections, or because our brains are probably antenna rather than a bloody brain that does any thinking? I don't think the brain does any fucking thinking at all. I think it's just an antenna, basically. Oh, Dinny, would you fuck off? Yeah, I'll tell you what. Where's the ban button? Where's the ban button? Hold on, did I? Hold on, I'll just go take a quick check back, make sure I didn't miss anybody. But but um, like the crypto viewing guys and their remote viewing experiments, which very, very fascinating. The same can be said for tarot readers. I know some tarot readers who could. They'll tell you where you fucking shot and what color it was in the morning. Like, they're really that fucking good. Like, but are they that good, or are they just tuning in, like, with their fucking antennas into somebody else's antenna, and are actually able to extract data from the ether? Which is what I think is going on a lot of the fucking time. This is what I think is going on. Like, I know if you're to listen to the scientific community, you think the brain was a giant fucking computer. It says, no, it's a goddamn fucking bag of water, right? There's nothing more, nothing less. There's a load of chemicals in there too, like, but, you know, just like there is no evidence it's a goddamn fucking computer. They know nothing about the goddamn brain, nothing at all. So perhaps there's something. I'm going to keep an open mind to the fact that there's probably something else going on. So whether it's remote viewing or tarot card reading, and I get why people are scared of it. Like, I done the Ouija board once. I actually did do the Ouija board. Wi-Fi router head, yes, dude. I feel like that sometimes. I had to switch the Wi-Fi off here, bro. I had to switch it off. And you know what? The best thing I ever done was switch the Wi-Fi off here in this goddamn fucking home of mine. I'll tell you what. I I don't wake up with a hangover anymore. Just nothing got to do with the drink or anything like that. Like, because sometimes I go off the drink and stuff like that and still wake up with a bloody hangover. But once I turned the Wi-Fi off, holy crap, it was like a revelation, man, a revelation. So I don't have any Wi-Fi on here anymore. Thank fuck it's gone, right? I only switch it on every now and again because there's one or two things I need the Wi-Fi for, but they only get switched on for about 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe four max, and that's it. It's off again. And thank fuck it's gone. Yeah, Paula, I totally agree. Like, I don't need to know people, right? I don't need to know people. I get a sense of people before I even fucking really know them. Like, I get a sense for what they're like. And sometimes I can pick up on people and what they're thinking, like just like that, man. It's like I don't even have to fucking overanalyze it because I fucking know, because I connect in with them somehow, and and I don't know whether it's got to do with this antenna thing or whether there's something deeper going on. It could be sort of like there could be cross connections coming on from the ether out there, like cross connections, like but clearly there's there's something weird about the ether, right? It's actually sort of like a conduit for consciousness, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're human, whether you're a fucking animal, whether you're could be an inanimate object. Even inanimate objects, I believe, are able to connect into this fucking field, because even inanimate objects, I believe, are actually animate, like but just on a different fucking level. I don't know. I could be crazy. I know for a fact I'm crazy. But that's all right. I don't mind. I'm okay with being fucking crazy. I don't give a fuck, right? And he wakes up with a hard on. No, if you wake up in the morning, Dinny, with a hard on, I'd say leave the Wi-Fi on, because that sounds good. It's obviously working for you, bro. Baby can't levitate when the Wi-Fi is on either. That's interesting. Rob doesn't believe in Bob Lazar. That's okay, Rob. I'm very, very wary of him also. Like, I'd be the very fucking same. I couldn't, I don't believe anything, man. I don't believe anything myself, but just take it all with a grain of salt, man, and and don't try to overthink it too much. But I don't rule anything out either. It could be that there may be a lot of truth to what he said. I don't know. I don't have any first-hand knowledge, so I'm like one of these people. Like, I mean, there was a question asked of me in the Telegram chat there. Well, it wasn't asked of me personally, like, but it was put out on the Telegram chat there during the week. I won't mention names or nothing like that, but you'll probably remember. Do you believe in the in germ theory or terrain theory? And I think I gave my answer. It says, look, clearly, like, both theories have merit. Like, am I capable of making a decision on it right here, right now? No, I'm not, because I need more data. So I have to sort of like, it's, I just have to be sort of like true to myself and be honest with myself, that like, and just recognize that, look, I don't have enough information to make an informed decision for myself. So I can't rule it out. And yet I can't sort of like advocate for it either, at the same time. It's one of those things, like, it's kind of like a chicken or egg thing, like, hey, you Chris, man, how you doing, bro? And is it true that you're back in England? I didn't he mention that, like, you were back in England, so hopefully, like, you had a great time in Ireland. So when you're out camping, there's no Wi-Fi, especially when you turn your phone off as well. Do feel bad. Yeah, 100%, Chris. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot to be said for switching Wi-Fi off. I'm not going to sort of like, that's just something I've noticed myself. And I don't have any data that I can fucking hit you with, like, or nothing like that. Like, but that's just something I fucking noticed, man. It was just like, holy shit, man. That's been staring me in the face all this last couple of years. Like, I've just had Wi-Fi, and it wasn't that I couldn't switch the Wi-Fi off. I had a real conundrum here, like, where I had this fucking dodgy computer, right? The, do, do you remember all the real serious audio issues you used to have with Jason, right? But that computer also, it didn't just have audio issues, it also had internet issues as well too. So um, when you boot the computer, right, uh, there was some deficiency in the BIOS, right? It needed updated driver. For some reason, the Ethernet card didn't activate, right? When you boot the machine, the Ethernet card wouldn't activate. So, and what I used to be able to do was to start the computer up and reboot it, and then when you actually reboot the computer from a cold start, all of a sudden the Ethernet would sort of like activate, and then ended up in a really, really strange situation where I couldn't even reboot the fucking. I could start it, like, but I couldn't reboot it. It just wouldn't reboot. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? So I could never sort of like activate the fucking Ethernet card. So I always ended up having to use fucking Wi-Fi, like, you know. But thankfully, those days are gone now. Thankfully, those days are gone. So I can actually totally sort of like live without Wi-Fi now. I don't need it unless the odd time I need to switch the Wi-Fi on so the phone can access. And it's not often I need to use the phone on the. In fact, I don't use the phone at all on the internet. Like, in fact, the phone most of the time sits at home. I don't bring it with me. I don't carry it with me unless I'm going far away and just in case of emergency and stuff like that. Like, I might bring the phone with me, like. But in general, I don't like being tracked like that, you know. So I tend to leave the phone at home, and it suits me. It works for me. I could be just over paranoid. I don't know, but that's okay. I'm all right in my fucking paranoia. So Chris caught norovirus from friends and COVID after shaking people's hands. I'm open-minded to know whatever it is, maybe bacteria. Yeah, Chris, it's in these days of total and absolute misinformation. It's so important just to keep fucking grounded and keep an open goddamn fucking mind, and don't believe any bullshit artist. Here's an interesting one for you, sir. I don't know whether anybody follows Stephen Ben-Noon. Is anybody familiar with Israeli News Live? Stephen Ben-Noon and his wife, Mrs. Benoon. What's her fucking first? I can't think of her first name. But are you why to the Ben-Noon Institute? Who knows them? Does anybody know them? Chris enjoyed Donegal #1. I've never been to Donegal. I thought they were all a bunch of inbred cunts up there. I don't know. So I'm going to change. I'll go for a quick visit now and see what it's like up there. Anybody know Stephen Ben-Noon and Israeli News Live? Nobody. Anyway, I do follow them, right? I do follow them. And you know what? He's a fucking nutcase. He's an absolute fucking nutcase. Don't excuse me, you fucking Donegal cunt, yeah. What? I'm surprised people from Donegal even know how to pronounce "excuse me," right? Yeah, please. But he's a strange character. He's a very, very strange. He's Jewish, right? He's actually Jewish, but he's a right conspiracy. He's a real conspiracy fucking tard. Like, you know, I do tune into him from time to time just to see where the conspiracy nuts are at, like on the interzones. But during the fucking pandemic, right? This is a good one, right? And this he's been releasing this story very, very slowly over the last couple of months. Donegal has some lovely beaches and a big lighthouse. Not many tourists and some good campsites. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of places like that in Ireland, Chris. You know, if you had time just to work your way around them, you know, Ireland's there's some lovely isolated locations in Ireland. So perhaps like next time round, you might get to visit a few more of them, and just don't worry about those inbred fuckers up there in Donegal, right? It's like, God, Dinny's going to kill me. It's but anyway, during the pandemic, Stephen and his wife and the father, something happened, right? He's been releasing this story over the last couple of months, and he didn't want to talk too much about it at first, but he's like that. Like, you know, it's just to get the full story, join my Patreon, but I don't think he even fucking put it out on Patreon up until now. Like, well, it's all circling around a doctor, a particular doctor. I don't know anybody who's been following the COVID bullshit, right, would know of a name called Doctor Kerry Majay. Just are you white to Doctor Kerry Majay, right? So, anyway, apparently Stephen Ben-Noon's father-in-law and his wife's father ended up like getting a bit sick, but he didn't test positive for COVID, right? Now, they were all very fucking worried about the father, right? And basically what happened was they the father tested negative for COVID, but yet they invited this doctor, uh, Kerry Majay, to come and treat the father with a nebulizer which involves some type of chemical compound which was related to God. I was trying to remember it earlier on, like, but it was like God, what was it? Not hydrogen peroxide, but of that family, hydrogen something or other. Maybe somebody can sort of like fill me in on the chat what it might be, but it was used in nebulization, right? And what this Kerry Majay done was she overdosed not just the father, but she overdosed Stephen Ben-Noon and the fucking wife. The whole fucking lot of them were nearly wiped out by this fucking doctor, Kerry Majay, who has been very, very big on the scene. Outspoken activists and speaking out against the coof and all that sort of fucking malarkey. Like, um, it turns out that like Stephen Ben-Noon, right, who is apparently this fucking amazing researcher who does all this fucking biblical fucking research and not only biblical research, he does research into Planet X and fucking aliens and reptiles living under the planet coming to fucking eat your fucking children and fucking all this fucking shit. Like this is what planet he's on. Like, so he invited this fucking Dr. Kerry Majay into his fucking home, got her to fucking treat the fucking father, the wife, and himself with this fucking hydrogen something or other, right? So maybe it is hydrogen peroxide, BB. It could be. It could be hydrogen peroxide. It's all of that family of stuff. And yeah, no, Chris, I don't think they were treating them with haddock or anything like that. You know, I don't think you can nebulize haddock, like, you know. But I'm glad you enjoyed the haddock. So, but anyway, what happened was what this Kerry Majay done was she overcooked the fucking nebulization mixture. And he's just talking about this at the moment, actually burnt father-in-law's fucking throat to a crisp and his tongue and fucking killed him because he wasn't able to fucking eat or nothing. Like, apparently the mixture that she used was 20 times over the recommended goddamn dose. Like, you know. Now, Kerry Majay, she was one of the ones that was running around with your fucking Dr. Jane Rubies and your um, Dr. Northrop and fucking all those fucking arseholes, right? All these fucking arseholes that were fucking going around spreading all this fucking bullshit. At like Kerry Majay, she was talking about fucking putting the vials of the safe and effective concoction under a microscope and finding all these long, stringy things like, in the fucking, and relating it to some sort of fucking alien fucking tech that was being sort of like used and pumped into fucking people. This is the type of bullshit like we have to fucking listen to, right? Fucking arseholes. Fucking arseholes. So, um, Kerry Majay, very, very big on the influencer scene, very, very connected to Jane Ruby, Dr. Northrop, fucking Dr. Tenpenny, the whole fucking lot. I'm starting to think they're all a bunch of fucking grifters, right? A whole fucking lot of them. That's what I think anyway. How you doing, Resi? Welcome. Thanks for joining. Now, I'm thinking that they're all a bunch of fucking grifters. And I don't know what else to fucking say about the cunts, man. That's all I have to fucking say about the bastards. Just a bunch of fucking grifters. None of them can be trusted. None of them. Like, so I know we all have our own ideas about the coof and about the 100% safe and effective treatment, and that's all right. Like, and in a way, we're all kind of influenced by some of these fucking people at some stage along the fucking way. Like, but um, yeah, Resi, the C19 gave us more grifters than the 70s. Absolutely, yeah. What was it? Wasn't it that 70s show? That 70s show. Some actor in that 70s show got 30 years in prison the other day for fucking rape. Absolutely, and a right-looking cunt he was too. A right-looking fucking cunt. So yeah, the 70s. There's a lot to be answered for in the fucking 70s. John Smith, how you doing, bro? Mordecai Van Nunu was the guy who exposed the Israeli nuclear weapon. Yes, I know who you're talking about there, John. Absolutely, I know who you're talking about there, but that's not Stephen Ben Noon. But I know who you're talking about, Mordecai Van Noon, and he got fucking so much hassle for exposing that the Israelis had bloody fucking weapons, man, nuclear weapons, and he got a fucking awful fucking time of it, man. I think he even spent time in prison, if I remember correctly. Like, but anyway, he's not Stephen Ben-Noon. Stephen Ben-Noon is just a fucking grifter, man. He's a bullshit fucking artist. Like, but it's if you're looking for something to phase out on and just catch up on where all the conspiracy turds are, tune into Israeli News Live, and he'll give you some interesting insights into biblical teachings. And I swear to God, his biblical teachings are just fucking. Oh my God, man! I just want to smash his fucking head in, man. Don't give me that bullshit, right? You know. Was grifter a bike? I didn't. I'd never heard of a grifter before, Resi. Never heard of a grifter. Yeah, uni. He did. He spent a couple of decades in prison. He was a good time away for exposing the existence of Israeli nuclear weapons, and it's kind of interesting to this day that it's still not commonly known that Israel have nuclear weapons. It's very, very well hidden. Very, very well hidden. Yeah, Rob, the test is a load of bullshit. I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about that in relation to somebody asked me a question there during the week, right? Last Saturday, to be specific, like, how are you going to kill a plant? There's a plant. There's a really, 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 really annoying plant that I want to kill, right? And I was just thinking there earlier on today. Well, how about how about if you dig the plant up, right? Just dig the plant out of the ground, bring it to your COVID testing center and give it a COVID test. And if it tests positive, then the answer is simple, man. Just give it a 100% safe and effective fucking treatment, and that should fucking sort the problem out. Give it a year or two, and the plant probably die of fucking cancer or something like that, you know. And that'd be a great way of fucking dealing with a plant. Stop telling porkies. How you doing? Stop telling porkies. We still got people joining in, which is great. Or maybe they've been tuned in and just just started commenting like, but yeah, just give the plants a COVID test, and then if they test positive, just bring them to the doctors and give them a shot, right? That should sort the fucking problem out. But Paula, I know you're in the chat, so you did ask the fucking question about how to deal with a goddamn yucca plant. A goddamn yucca plant which is out of fucking control, right? And can't be killed. So let's see if I can figure out. I've got a yucca. Yeah, no, I don't want to know how to grow the yucca. I just want to know how to kill the bastards, right? So I do have a little bit of information because I was doing a little bit of research into it, and it is just what I thought was the issue, right? And why it's so difficult to kill a yucca plant. Now, people would be asking probably to themselves, why would you want to kill a plant? Like, and sometimes certain plants are really awful plants. Sometimes certain plants are awful, right? Basically. And you need to sort of like deal with them because like they can be quite dangerous. Like a yucca plant is very, very dangerous, especially if you have children or animals around the place. A yucca plant is a really awful plant. Like I didn't even know this until just a couple of years ago, like just how dangerous they were basically. So so this one is for you, Paula. So they go into a quite long like talk about. They talk about killing them can be difficult. I'll zoom in a little bit, so just in case that like people want to read as well too. Killing can be difficult and daunting task because they often reappear after they seem to be dead. By digging the plant out or applying herbicide routinely, you can kill yucca plants and ensure they won't grow back. So I'm gonna have to zoom back out again just so you see. So basically what they recommend here is using a pruning saw or shears to cut the yucca down to its stump. Cut the branches, the stems, and the shoots that come from the main stump. Depending on the size of the yucca, the root system might be pretty large. Having a stump isolated will make it easier for you to see what you where you need to begin digging, right? You can now. I have two methods, Paula. Two methods for killing a yucca here. So don't worry. Like digging might not suit you because it's an absolutely humongous task digging a yucca up, right? So basically what we've done is having stuff will make it so you can discard the yucca with your heart. So like the top bit that you chop off, you can just discard it away and just make sure you don't leave it in a place where it might take root. So we're talking about 3 foot. You're looking at about a 3 foot hole around that you might have to dig. Now I know this method won't suit you, right? Just bear with me a moment here while I'm going to pop the chat out so that I can I chat? No, I can't pop the bloody chat out. So look, I'll tune back into the chat in a couple of minutes. I can't pop this bloody StreamYard chat out. So dig a hole about 3 feet around the base of the plant using a shovel. A shovel? Don't be fucking stupid, man. You don't dig with a shovel. You dig with a goddamn spade. Some of these articles fucking infuriate me. The root network for a yucca plant is very large, so you'll want to start a hole that extends further than the stump, much further than the stump. You're talking about 3 foot like square around. Set the boundaries by measuring. Look, you know, like you don't have to fucking measure nothing. If you don't have much space around the yucca, digging might not be the best option for removal because we require you to dig up other plants. That's okay. Dig up the other fucking plants if necessary. Just replant them. They should be just fine. Dig 3 to 4 feet into the ground. So we're talking about like almost a meter and a third into the ground. So like you're not only going 3 foot out, like you're going 1.2 meters into the ground as well, too, down below. That's a huge, huge root system, and that should give you an idea as to why it's so hard to fucking remove yucca, right? And so it goes into a whole pile of bloody blah into digging the yucca out, like, but this won't suit you, Paul, like, but I know from personal experience, like, it's easy to dig plants up, like, as long as you got a lot of upper body strength and a lot of patience, and a crowbar sometimes helps. If you a crowbar can be a great help, like when you're trying to dig out a plant, like, but sometimes, like, when you've got a well-established plant, it can take hours to dig a plant out of the ground. I've moved trees which are probably 7, 8 years old, and without any problems, like, and they usually grow back. It's very seldom that I manage to kill anything, like, so. But to dig a yucca plant out, like, for somebody who's already having difficulties, like, may not be the best option. So, but basically, if you do go down the route of digging a yucca plant up, like, what they do recommend is to leave the hole open for 2 to 3 weeks to allow the sun to dry the soil out. And as well as, like, drying the soil out, like, if there's any roots in there that might be still alive, the open hole would actually allow the sun to dry the roots out and kill them there on the spot. And then, of course, you do have a safety notice for safety purposes. You might want to rope off the hole to prevent animals or children from tipping or falling into the hole. Right. Well, years ago, like, there was none of that going on. Like, if you were a stupid fucking kid, you'd just, you'd fall into the fucking hole anyway, like, whether there was a rope around it or fucking not. So, but if you do go for the route of digging them out, it's a big hole, like, it's massive, right? So you got to monitor the area then afterwards and keep an eye, so that if you see any new growth coming up out of the hole during a few weeks afterwards, or even a couple of months afterwards, make sure that you dig that new fucking growth out, basically. So there's a method 2 here, which is probably more appropriate for you, Paula, which is probably applying herbicide. Now, I know a lot of people probably say, Jimmy, herbicide, that's all bad for the environment. And look, herbicide is fine. Just use it safely, man. Safely and wisely, and not excessively. So basically, when you're applying herbicide, basically what they recommend is chop the plant at the base there, like we did with the digging part. Just chop it there at the fucking base. Now, they recommend a mixture here, right? They recommend a mixture. They go into a lot of blah. Plan to apply the herbicide during the spring or early summer or fall. Controlling eucalyptus herbicide requires proper timing and application. Spring, early summer, and fall are the best times to apply the herbicide, because herbicides are most effective when used within a certain temperature range, which is quite correct. You need the right temperatures, and you need plants which are actually growing aggressively. Like, it's not just enough to have, like, the right temperatures. The plant must be growing aggressively as well, which they failed to fucking factor in here in their little explanation here. So the recommended mixtures is 19 ounces of herbicide and 128 ounces of diesel or vegetable oil in the sprayer. The recommended herbicide is Remedy herbicide, which is specifically formulated for yucca and other hardy plants, and you can find it at most hardware stores. Now, I've never heard of Remedy, like, but I'm pretty sure glyphosate will do the bloody job, right? Make sure to wear protective clothing, blah, 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 blah. You can also buy pre-prepared mixtures, blah, blah, blah. And if your sprayer isn't large enough to hold the volume in one mixture, you can make a mixture. Look, you can find there's loads of recipes out there online for making up the mixtures. But and they've gone into the nozzles and stuff here, which is irrelevant, and agitating the fucking mixture, which is irrelevant. Now, there was one thing there which I did want to hit on. Like they mentioned the fact that you need to use a mixture of diesel oil or vegetable oil, right? Yeah, mix 19 ounces of herbicide and 128 ounces of diesel or vegetable oil in the sprayer. Now, they don't go into the reason why you need to use diesel or vegetable oil, but I'm going to explain that for you. Like, this is one thing they left out of this bloody article. Because of the fact that yucca has got like a glossy leaf, it's got a very, very glossy leaf. And it's like any plant that has a glossy leaf, herbicides don't really work very, very well on them. Because of the fact that they're glossy, the herbicide can't adhere to the leaf. So it won't stick, basically. It won't stick to the leaf. So here they're recommending that you add diesel or vegetable oil into the sprayer, basically, with the herbicide. So, but I'm going to sort of like say that you don't even need diesel or vegetable oil. You could just use also washing up liquid, anything that will help to the herbicide to stick to the leaf should do the job. So that's that bit covered. So I'm going to shake and stir the mixture for 50 seconds before saying once the mixture is made, stir it in with a or shake it, and this will prevent the herbicide from settling in the bottom. And so according to this image here, spray it onto the stump, right? Just spray it onto the stump. I've heard of this before. In fact, I wonder, there's a method that is used sometimes for killing unwanted trees. If you drill a hole into a tree stump, chop the tree down, drill a hole into the center of the stump, and pour diesel into it, can sometimes kill the tree, right? But now I want you to highlight this particular image. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to monitor the plant probably for several months, right? And watch for new growth like this here. You can see the new growth coming up. So you've got to spray that new growth as it comes up. Do it very targeted, and it's probably going to take a little bit of time just to sort a plant out like that. But the way I think about it is, you probably could get away with not spraying, but I'm not sure of the growth pattern of yucca, how invasive it is, or just how resilient it is. But sometimes if you've got an unwanted plant, sometimes if you just keep chopping the leaves, just keep cutting the leaves off, you can starve the root out. So I'm even open to the idea that you could actually starve a yucca root out completely if you just keep chopping the leaves. But I'm just not sure how long it will bloody take. Probably take a long time. You probably, with a little bit of herbicide, would probably make the job a little bit easier and a little bit quicker. So, but this is how we advocate using chemicals. This is how we advocate using glyphosate. Very, very targeted. None of this blanket spraying that goes on, just very, very targeted. You got a plant that you want to get rid of, just spray the leaves. That's it. Just the leaves. And no blanket spraying. And so if you're worried about glyphosate and all of that malarkey, that's the safe way of using herbicides and stuff like that. So that little article was for you, Paula, but it was exactly what I was thinking. It was the reason why it's very, very difficult for to kill a yucca is because it's very, very resilient, and it grows back very, very easily from any roots that you actually forget to dig out. So I can't recommend the digging out for you, Paula. The digging out seems to be like a big mission, because I know what it's like to dig a goddamn tree out of the ground without killing it, right? It's a very, very difficult job, and moving it around, very, very tricky job, and very, very hard work. So I don't think that's going to work for you, but perhaps with a little bit of targeted spraying, you might eventually get it under control, given a little bit of time, right? Just give it a bit of time and patience, and constantly monitor the plant for new growth. And anytime it rears its ugly head. Give it a dab of the good stuff. Just give it a dab of the good stuff, right? Hold on, I'm going to have to rewind it. No, you're welcome, Paula. You're very, very welcome. Dinny's piles are playing up, Jimmy. When you have a German wife, get her to fucking rub Vaseline on them, right? That's fucking, that should do the trick, man. um, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for glyphosate and weed killers, John. Look, it's part of my job, like, to know how to use these chemicals and how to use them correctly. And yes, the weeds come back. Absolutely, absolutely, they come back, but not necessarily the same weeds. Um, I tend to take a holistic view of weeds, but there's certain weeds that you can't deal with. Some weeds you just have to fucking take the gloves off with the bastards because they'll just run you out of your fucking home. Some of them are really bad, like, so sometimes you just need to get aggressive with certain types of weeds, and you can't get rid of all weeds. It's impossible. It's impossible, and not all weeds are bad, like, but um, weeds are. It's very, very interesting about weeds. The definition of a weed is a plant that's in the wrong place. That's the actual pure. Yes, Paula, briars, for example, and I'm going to have to. I've got a briar problem here, and what's that book, Resi? Cancel yourself. Oh yeah, well I cancelled myself years ago, Resi. Hi, Regina. Jay, haven't seen you in the chat for a while, Regina. I need to go. I'm pretty sure I got loads of fucking. I bet you I got flamed up shit pile. Resi was, how can you please find the wiki out for how to make a bomb? Um, just get the Anarchist Cookbook, man. You don't. There's no. It's not on Wikipedia, man. But the Anarchist Cookbook. I even have a copy of that here. Not that I ever fucking read the damn thing, but there's loads of interesting information in it. Mascara, hello. Oh, Mascara, did you forget we were Saturday night? Look, that's okay, man. Look, it's been difficult just getting used to the new routine, and I probably shouldn't have changed it, but now that I have changed it, and I've lost Friday nights because of Peter last night, the cunt. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I'm going to have to knock him off, man. I'm going to have to infect him with COVID or something like that and see if we can get rid of him out of the Friday night slots so I can get back in there. Tilly is saying nuke the bastards, right? Yeah, that would be a method, like, that would be a method. Does Resi saying, does Jimmy realize that this is going out live? What? We're live. How the fuck did that happen? Holy shit, man. um, Look, at the end of the day, I assume we're talking about, like, me sort of like talking about using chemicals to deal with unwanted problems, like, and this is a common question that comes up, like, especially in the horticultural field, like, how do you deal with problems? So sometimes the solutions are not perfect, like, but yeah, Chris, all of a sudden everybody's a horticulturalist. Now, there we go. There's someone else talking sense here. Cut notches in the stump and pour old car oil on it and cover it with black plastic bag. That's exactly what I was saying as well too. Stop telling porkies. That would be another method of dealing with it. Like, you're still dealing with chemicals. You're still dealing with bloody chemicals, right? And they're still going to be getting into the ground, right? Another method, right? Another method which people don't also know about is what you can also do is if you were to cut a couple of mil strip right around the base of a plant, right? Um, if you look at the say for example, right? Say for example the trunk of a tree. Now, just underneath the bark, there's a layer. It's called the cambium layer, and that's where all the blood vessels of the tree they go up to the crown. Okay, all the blood vessels flow through there. So if you were to cut off the cambium layer, just a couple of mil down to where it turns green, and I don't know if it would work if you put diesel in there or oil, but it'll definitely work if you've got glyphosate. Uh, Paint a little bit of glyphosate in around the tree, and that should kill the tree permanently. Like, there's nothing worse than a tree that's grown in the fucking wrong place, and this is a huge problem, right? This is an absolute massive problem in a lot of homes around the country, like huge. Like, it's probably the same in England as well too. Like, um, obviously it's pretty bad, like in sort of like inner city areas, like where trees like Lelandii are now banned because they're just so bloody invasive, and um, so sometimes there's plants that you just have to deal with. Like, I'm not talking about like sort of like hiring the Americans to come and do bombing raids over a fucking field or something to deal with a problem of briars in a targeted way. Like if glyphosate is used in a very very safe way, you should have no long term effects. Like, you should have no long term effects, so long as you're dealing with the problem early, and where you're not left in a situation where you just have to use too much of the bloody chemical. um, but these are issues like a lot of homeowners face, right? An awful lot of homeowners face them. And how do you deal with it? Because like digging out is not always a bloody option. Say, for example, like if you have, say, horsetail. Horsetail is very, very invasive. Like, and if you get that into your vegetable garden, forget about it. You're not going to be growing fucking vegetables there anymore. So what do you do? What do you do? Especially if you're in modern times, are you going to starve to death, or are you going to deal with the problem? Like, anyway, you know, I'm not here to advocate really for um, chemical use or non-use. I'm all I can do is just sort of like explain to you like some of the issues and the problems I encounter when dealing with customers on a regular basis, like who have issues and problems, and when traditional methods like digging out just won't fucking work. Sometimes you just have to take the fucking gloves off, man. And look, I get it. Like, people don't like fucking chemicals and stuff like that. Like, but how many people actually do know what glyphosate is, right? How many people actually know what glyphosate is? Now we'll have to head back down to the bottom. Yeah, Chris, you can give as much horticulture advice as you want on YouTube. That's for sure. Yeah, nobody's going to, as long as you're not advocating for um, treating plants who have COVID, like with yeah, for me. It's like holy shit. Wow, I'll tell you what, that last topic really got people going. Freaking sure. Poor Regina is worried about the bird the birds and the bees. Don't worry about the birds and the bees. They're just fine, man. In fact, this year has been very, very strange. I don't think the weather has been great for birds and bees this year. Never mind use of glyphosate and stuff like that. Like, um, I think I've only seen 3 wasps this year. That's all I've seen. 3 wasps, and that was it. It's like, holy shit, man. Where did the wasps go? Temperatures just haven't been conducive. Like, all this global warming, like, and The bees ain't fucking liking it, man, for some reason. Yeah, Regina, horsetail is very, very good for you. Yeah, very, very good for you. Like there's a lot of medicinal properties to horsetail. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Like, um, but it is very, very invasive. And if you have a problem with horsetail in your garden, it can be a nightmare for anybody who is trying to say if it got into a vegetable garden, like anybody who's trying to work with horsetail and vegetables. I don't have a problem with it here, like basically, like, but I can imagine like it'd be impossible, like absolutely impossible to grow anything. And horsetail is probably one of the most invasive plants that I know of, like but at the same time, it's got lots and lots of medicinal uses. An interesting plant. It's like probably one of the oldest plants on the planet. Like really, if you're to believe the science, it dates back to prehistoric times. Regina is saying, dig, dig, dig. Oh yeah, yeah. Keep digging. that's a that's what I keep doing. Man. I keep digging holes for myself and just keep getting deeper and deeper into the fucking doo doo. Well, a weed is only a weed if you think it is. No, the definition of a weed is a plant that is in the wrong place, basically. So, a weed could be anything. A weed could be absolutely anything. To be honest, like all the plants I have here technically could be classed as weeds because they're all invasive. Like I've got so many interesting plants. Like I've got Ribes tricolore, for example, which is kind of like a relative to the briar, right? It's a relative to the briar, but it's so invasive, it's unreal. I have aster. Aster is just unreal, man. It's just spreading like fucking. It's like chaos around the place, like aster, fucking everywhere. It spreads under the ground, like it just totally takes over. I've got what's the mint. I've got mint growing. It's like totally invasive. Like I usually dig them out. Like you can deal with mint. Like you can deal with mint. You can deal with aster. Solidago is another one that I have here. Solidago is a beautiful fucking plant. Like absolutely gorgeous plant. Very very invasive though. Like but um, I have a lot of plants like at war with each other around here. It's like they're at war with each other. They're all fighting for space and stuff like that. So, um, on the advice of one of my friends years ago, Tim from Tang, he put it out there. Says, "Well, I like invasive plants. I just let them loose in the garden, let them fight it out with each other." So I said, "Oh, okay, let's give it a go." I'll tell you what, got problems everywhere. Fucking problems everywhere. Skunk as well, Jimmy. Skunk. I assume, John, that you're talking about the ganja. Is it ganja? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I can imagine skunk being a problem. Like Regina, mint is not doing well for you. Well then, you're one of the few people I have ever heard of like that mint is not doing well because mint mint is usually so invasive, like it usually takes over everything. Like of all the plants that I would have suspected anybody have problems growing, mint would have been high up on the list, probably top of the list, like because it's probably one of the most invasive plants known to man or woman. Just let's get the let's get the pronouns correct. Sassafras. What sassafras? I wonder. Hold on a second. I'm gonna do a Google check on sassafras. Sassafras. No, nothing coming up there. Hold on. I'm just gonna do a SASSA FRS SAFF. God, SASSA. S-A, S-S-A, F-R-A-S. Oh, sassafras is a genus of the three extant and one extinct species of deciduous trees in the family of Lauraciniae, native to eastern North America and eastern Asia. Um, Actually, do you know what I'll do? I'll just put a bit of a screen share up here just so the so you can see what I'm seeing, right? Um, Reforestation and the medicinal uses. That's interesting. So I'm not actually familiar with this plant. Like an interesting leaf. Very very interesting leaf. Um, I can't say that I've ever seen it. Right? Yeah. So there we go. There it is in autumn, I assume. When its leaves start to set, very very striking plant. Looks lovely. Looks lovely. Here we've got some with its berries and interesting. Sassafras albidum. Albidum. I'm not even familiar with the family. I'm not even familiar with the family. Hold on, I'm just going to go back and see if I can get some more information on it. Sassafras tea, right? Sassafras tea. Look, what does it say? Sassafras tea is popular. Oh, for fuck's sake. Good God. Do you know what? The internet is fucked. The internet is really fucked. Just disallow all the fucking bullshit, man. Just, yeah, it's unreal, man. You can't go to any fucking site now without getting fucking hammered with bullshit, right? Um, Now, what we got? We detect that you are in one of the member countries of the UK, EU, EEA, which is now subject to the General Data Protection Regulations. Unfortunately, a tracking-free version of our website is currently well, fuck off then, right? Just piss off, you bunch of fucking cunts, right? Piss off. Go get it. I'll tell you what, I need some way of fucking blocking all these sites completely. Instead of having to go through all that fucking buzz. Every time you fucking visit a site, you gotta fucking kill all the fucking cookies first. Again, kill all the cookies and then go in and oh sorry, we can't give it, you're in Europe. Fuck off, right? Yeah, fuck off, you too. Here we go. How stuff works, right? This is the site from earlier on for the up until last week, my knowledge of sassafras began and ended in an unlikely place, a Green Day album, Sassafras Roots, track 9. Oh, come on. So, members of the Cherokee tribe reportedly boiled sassafras leaves to produce a tea intended to purify the blood and address a variety of ailments, including skin diseases, joint inflammation, and fever. The plant was also used, ground into a paste known as a poultice, sorry, to treat wounds and sores, and the root bark was used to treat digestive issues. The leaves were often used for healing poultices and in tea preparations or as flavoring in food, while the root bark was the main source of its medicinal properties. Tilly says root beer was also derived from the tree's root. Root beer hit the dark side of sassafras, but in mixology, experimentation had to change by mid 20th century when regulators realized one ingredient in particular had the potential to do more harm than good in its unaltered state. Unfortunately, there is a darker side to sassafras called saffrole, a toxic compound found in the plant's essential oils, Tilly says. Because of potential carcinogenic properties, the FDA banned its use. So, okay, well, if the FDA banned it, it's must be good. So, now, anyway, look, I'll park that there, but that's interesting. That is interesting. Thanks for sharing that. That's actually a plant that I have never heard of. But then again, that's not surprising because, look, if you ever were in the proud possession, like I am, I have the the RHS Encyclopedia of Plants. Like you'll just realize there's just how many bloody plants are out there. It's just unreal. So Regina's saying the plant sassafras is very rare, have been told. Medicinal uses, etc. Now regarded as a weed. Well, any plant could be sort of like determined to be a weed. It's a question of taste, as somebody else pointed out. Just let nature do its thing. People dig dandelions out of the ground, but they are doing a good job of aerating the ground. Absolutely, and not just aerating the ground. Dandelions, they've got that big, long tap root, which tunnels right down into the subsoil, bringing nutrients up. So, not only is it aerating the ground, it also bringing nutrients up. Like, but another thing about dandelions as well, too, John, is that like dandelions are an indicator plant, which means that it's an indication of a deficiency in the soil. And what dandelions generally indicate is that like your soil is compact. There's been too much traffic over it over the years. So it's basically devoid of air, and it is so compact. So the dandelion root tunnels down in an attempt to break there's a term for it. There's a term when soil gets so compact. It's called a pan, right? They call it a pan because it's very, very hard layer that can't be penetrated. So it's called a pan. Sometimes you can have them at the surface. Sometimes you can have them below ground as well too. There's many situations where you could end up having a pan on your soil, not a frying pan, just a pan, right? Just a compact layer of soil. So dandelion roots, all tap-rooted plants. Like if you notice any farmland, for example, where it's got tractors driving backwards and forwards, and I can guarantee you nearly any farmland that you look at these days is just inundated like with dandelions, thistles, all sorts of plants like that. And the grass is almost like disappearing. And that's a direct result of traffic over the fields. So that dandelions, of course, the dandelions are going to grow because the soil is trying to fucking correct a lot of the fucking problems, like, so. Jenny's saying leave Jimmy alone. Well, who's giving out now? I'm dying to fucking boot some cunt out of the fucking chat now tonight. I came in here with the gloves on. And I mean fucking business. Who's giving out? Who's giving out? That can I wipe my ass with a dog? I've wiped my arse with fucking many types of things over the fucking years. Whatever fucking comes to hand, Dinny. That's my rule of it. Like look, the last thing you want to do is to use your fingers, though. So if you can get away with anything soft, right? Something soft and not too fucking harsh, because the last thing you want to do is to irritate those piles, right? Yeah, Regina, plantain is another good one as well too, and plantain is not only is it like one of those tap-rooted plants which sort of like do a lot for soil correction. Plantain is actually medicinal and is actually one of those edible plants. It depending on which plantain you got, like because you got a few different types of plantain. You've got one with the oval leaf, and you got one with the long pointy leaf. I can't remember which is which now. Plantago major. I think Plantago major is the one with the oval leaf, which is the one which is edible. They say what grows in your garden is what you need. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, Regina. Absolutely. That's why in times gone by, when people foraged for local foods, like they're supposed to be an awful lot better for you than like foods that you would import from abroad, because like plants have sort of adapted to the local environment, like, and because we live in that local environment that the plants have adapted to, there's a lot to be said for the fact that like there may be more nutrients available to us by consuming those plants than would be like if we were to sort of like eat imported bullshit like from other parts of the world, especially like different hemispheres and stuff like that. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, Regina. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. I believe, I absolutely do believe that. You know, I've come to that conclusion over the fucking years. Even if you hear stories about like honey, honey is another one. Um, it is recommended that if you're going to incorporate honey into your diet, it's best to get local honey, honey that's sourced locally, because the bees are feeding on flowers which are sort of like native to your local environment, which are apparently right. I'm just not going to say this like definitively, like, you know, but there's a lot of logic around like why plants in the local environment and honey that would be that bees would be feeding on in the local environment would be better for your health in the long term. So I totally take on board what you're saying there, Regina. I think that makes a lot of fucking sense. Absolute 100%, 100%. I totally agree with you there. Regina, imported nettles in garden, but keep it contained. Well, nettles are easy to deal with anyway. Nettles are not a big issue. Like nettles are easy to dig out, right? It's one of those plants. There's an awful lot of weeds. Like there's a lot of weeds I deal with on a daily basis. Just dig them out. Like for the most part, like they might grow back a small bit. And any new ones that come up, dig them out, and it's okay. If they're a problem, they're easy to get rid of. Like, but there's certain plants now that just they're a nightmare to deal with. Absolutely a nightmare. Like the Lycia horsetail and briars. Briars can be they can be really tricky to deal with, and once they get out of control, like sometimes you just have to take the gloves off of them. But in general, weeds are good. Uh, That's the way I kind of have a holistic approach to weeds. I like weeds, like um, even if some of them are a pain in the fucking arse, they all serve a purpose. And for the most part, I don't have a problem with weeds. Like I just let plants grow fucking wild here, let them do their thing, let them fight it out with each other. And the weeds that I have, the way I view it is like they're serving a purpose. There's something wrong with the fucking soil. Like here's another one. I'll tell you what I've got here is creeping buttercup. Ranunculus repens, right? It's the Latin name for creeping buttercup. It's rampant, absolutely rampant. It's everywhere. And I was wondering what the fuck is going on with this ranunculus repens. It's fucking everywhere. I can't get rid of it. It's because it's very, very fond of dark, damp, heavy soil. And when I learned that, I says, "Oh my god, it makes so much fucking sense." Because that's exactly the soil I've got here. It's damp, dark, heavy. That's why I spent a lot of time building a lot of raised beds and stuff like that here, and because the drainage was very, very bad, and it's quite natural that ranunculus repens is just going to be going nutsoid in the garden, like, you know, it's just one of those things. So I've learned to love it. I've learned to love it. It's a feature of the soil, and it's but not only that, like it's a lovely ground cover as well too. And when you think about it, I generally let a lot of the weeds just grow and cover the soil here. Keep the soil covered, because if your soil is not covered, what happens then is when the rains come, when in the middle of winter and stuff like that, washes all the fucking nutrients out of the goddamn fucking soil. And then you're left with no fucking nutrients. All the nutrients get washed out. And then you have to start fucking adding fertilizer and bullshit like that. So I've learned to love the weeds, right? I've learned to love them in a lot of ways. A lot of the weeds I keep here, I just let them grow. I let them do their fucking thing. That's okay. You're serving your fucking purpose. you're correcting the soil, you're providing the fucking cover for a canopy for the microbiome and stuff like that, uh, and plus all these fucking weeds and stuff like that. They're providing the chemical interaction which is needed in the soil, in the chemistry of the fucking soil, because there's a lot more going on underneath the ground than a lot of people realize when it comes to the microbiome and all the beneficial bacteria and insects and all the life that's just in the couple. It's you're talking about a small layer of soil where all the fucking life is, right? All the life is in the fucking just a couple of centimeters of soil, um, and it's important to encourage that, and that's why, for the most part, I let the weeds go. I let the weeds go here. There's the odd time that I have to deal with this odd fucking briar issue and stuff like that. Just very, very odd time, So, but for the most part, when it comes to weeds, they're all good. I think most of them have a really, really interesting, good purpose. But some of them, some of the weeds I just don't get the point of, like briars, for example. It's just what purpose is? I know, like they produce an edible fruit like that, and it's not like they're totally fucking useless, but they're so annoying, man. They're so annoying. Yeah, Regina, they do keep the soil healthy, like absolutely, and the cover, especially these invasive plants, like they provide that essential cover to stop the. It's especially here in in these rainy climates, like where you got loads and loads of rain, and the rain is washing the nutrients out of the fucking soil, and anything you can do to prevent that happening is going to be ultimately more beneficial for your soil at the end of the day, and protect what you've got, like, and plus it keeps the life cycle going just underneath the soil, because what's going on just underneath the soil is actually more important than what's going on above the soil. It took me a long time to understand that, like, but I think I get it now. I think I get it now, for the most part. But as I say, like, I'm just a Padawan learner, just trying to figure shit out as I go along, and they can only teach you so much in college, right? And for the most part, like, the most essential information sometimes comes after the college learning, and when you start sort of like taking in information which might be coming from other more sort of obscure sources, like permaculture, for example, which have a lot of really important sort of like input into the general conversation of holistic approach to planting and to managing land, and not just land but animals as well too, and a more holistic approach, like so um, which they generally, I I think, like, it depends on who you learn from in these colleges as well too. Some of the tutors in these colleges, some of them are brilliant, like my level 4 tutor in Longford here, she was amazing, man. Not only was she very, very beautiful, but she was amazing, right? She was an amazing teacher, like, and she sort of like combined not just the scientific, sort of the standard scientific approach, but also the holistic approach as well too. Whereas when I went to the level 5, like, I was just thinking, holy shit, man, you're more focused on fucking decorative fucking plants and sort of like walled gardens and stuff like that, but they're not actually sort of incorporating some of the key things from the holistic approach to planting and to horticulture. So it depends very much on from whom you learn, right? It depends very much from whom you learn, and I learned more in level 4 than I ever did in level 5. And you'd imagine level 5 will be the next level up, the pinnacle. That's the nah, nah. I learned most of the most important things level 4. No way, Regina. I didn't know Becky was illegal to grow here. No, it can't be. It can't be illegal to grow. No, are you serious? Hold on, I'll wait for more to chime in on that. Use the force, Jimmy. So briars are for butterflies and other insects to keep their eggs protected. Yeah, well, I'm not against briars. They have their place. They have their place in the garden. There should always be a wild area in your garden. So yeah, briars are fine in the wild section, right? Just they're not something now I want to be dealing with when I step outside my fucking door. But they're fine when you have them off in the wild section. And yeah, I can see the logic there. It's illegal to sell it unless you got a license, John. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's no law against fucking planting baccy. None that I know of. Now, just I'll defer to everybody else's better judgment on that. Like, but there's no law that I'm aware of that prevents you from growing baccy. As far as I remember, like I've done a bit of research into cultivation of baccy, and apparently it grows very, very similar in form and style to a tomato plant, but the very, very same way, basically. And you have to treat it similarly, so like where you have to deal with the suckers. If you want to grow the big leaf and stuff like that, you got to treat them like tomatoes. So like as the suckers come out, you got to chop the suckers off and stuff like that. You can grow big leaf, right? So and I know a lot of over the years I was watching loads and loads of people who were growing baccy, and they were kind of like guerrilla gardeners, right? They were guerrilla gardeners. So what they do is they wouldn't bother growing it at home. They just spread the seeds everywhere out in the fucking wild and just let them grow out in the fucking wild, and then just go out and harvest the fucking results afterwards. It's a great way, man. I think I like that method of gardening, like, especially for somebody who doesn't have space at home, like, just to find out where all the fucking farmers' fields are, like, and just go plant them in the hedgerows and then just know when it's time to go and harvest. And away you go. Like, you don't need a fucking garden, right? And what fucking farmer will know what a baccy plant is? And it's just, they might look at the baccy plant and just think, what is that? I've never seen that before, like, but they won't know what it is, like, so um that probably wouldn't work with ganja, because I think most people know what ganja is. Like, they probably smell it a mile away. Even fucking, eh, even the biggest normies on the fucking planet probably know what ganja smells like now. Like, but baccy you could probably get away with, like, but no way, it's not illegal. Does it grow? Yeah, it should grow in the greenhouse, like, but mascara, like, but it should actually be fine in our temperate climate. It should actually be fine. I know I have heard that it grows quite well in our temperate climate here. So I don't even think you need a greenhouse. It's probably a very big plant for a greenhouse. You probably want a goddamn big motherfucking greenhouse for it, right? I don't know, Porkies, how many plants you would need to produce the equivalent of 50 grams a week. You probably need uh, you'd probably need to do a little bit of math on it. Like, I don't know off the top of my head. I really wouldn't know. But I'd imagine like a good plant, like, you'd probably get quite a bit out of a good plant, like, So, um, would you need 100 to keep you going for a year? 100 plants? Would that keep you going for a year? I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to sort of figure it out. Like, if you were to do a little bit of research into the baccy plant, I don't have enough time to do it now, like, but um, just sort of like try to figure out the potential yield of whatever variety of baccy you're going to use. And keep in mind too, like, most tobaccos that we're used to, they're a blend of various different types of tobaccos, So basically, like, you'd be getting mixtures of maybe Virginias. I can't remember the different varieties that you can get, like, but most modern tobaccos that we're used to smoking will be a blend of 2, possibly 3 different varieties of tobacco plants. So that might be something else that you might want to take into consideration if you were looking for that sweet spot, like in baccy production, So something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. But you probably could figure out like how much you'd need for a year. if you were to sort of like do an assessment of how much a plant would produce, like weight wise, and then you could probably work it from there, like how many plants you might need then, so. But yeah, you could probably figure it out like quite easily. Obviously, how you doing, Michael? Michael is saying depends on the strain you're growing. Yeah, I'd agree with that too. Like because different plants have different growing rates and stuff like that. So like not all plants that sort of like follow the same rules. So um, different plants like and grow at different rates, and depending on the color of the leaf too. The leaf color has a huge impact on growth rate as well too. Most people don't realize it, like but you know, green leaves outgrow sort of like not so green leaves, fucking 24s that like totally outgrow them, like because there's more photosynthesis going on, like and um, sometimes you notice it with say sometimes you got a variegated plant, a plant that might have sort of two colors on the leaf, right? They might have a yellow outer rim and a green inner leaf, and then all of a sudden one day you might notice that the plant just starts growing green. It says, oh, the plant is changing. It's not changing. The plant is just reverting back to its original genetics. Like, but if you don't cut those green leaves out, you will lose your variegated leaf, because the green will always outgrow the variegated leaf. So, color has a lot got to do with how quickly plants grow as well. To the leaf color, that's what I'm saying. Will have a big impact on how quickly plants grow. So. But anyway, look, we're at 23:56, and I can't believe where that 2 hours bloody went, man. It just went so quick. So what I am going to do is I'll chuck a link in for you. I'll chuck a link into the chat if you just want to join in after chat. Up to yourselves. And what I will do is I'll try and round things up now in the last few minutes. And I'll consider this a successful show. I don't think I talked about anything too untoward that might get our channel kicked off the interzones just for now. The plan is to keep the channel sort of like clean and sanitized, at least for a couple of months anyway, before we even attempt to talk about anything really dodgy. But look, we don't need to be talking about anything fucking dodgy anyway. Just come on and just talk shite and the usual stuff, like, and without being saying things that'll get us fucked off the interzones. And I think the last time I checked, we had a long ban the last time. It was I think we had a long ban. We were about a month offline, so so it'll be a few months. I'll keep it sanitized for a few months anyway, and just so that we can get those bans, just put them behind us, and then we can sort of like then we'll see where we go. So, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind it up now. I'm going to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight. Fair play to you. It's been lovely chatting with you. Some great comments there tonight. Much appreciated. It was good buzzing off all those wonderful comments. And there's a lot of really knowledgeable people in the chat there who kind of know what they're talking about, and that I wasn't expecting that. So much appreciated. So don't forget, we have Cooking Pete, of course, Monday, Wednesday. Robert next Tuesday. I think Robert's back next Tuesday again too. And we got Steve Thursday, and Peter, who is now on Fridays. If you're, let's see if I can get the name of the channel up. Let's see if I can get the name of the channel, just in case you're wondering who Peter is. It's called, the channel is called Reality Chat. So that's where you'll find Peter on Wednesdays, or no, on Fridays. On Fridays, I think it used to be He used to be streaming there some time ago, so a lot of people already know who he is, and I didn't know him, like, so I'm glad that I do kind of know him now a little bit, and he seems like a sound dude. Seems like a sound dude. So anyway, much appreciated, everyone. I'm down to the last 20 seconds, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great next week. Hopefully, the hot weather will last a little bit longer, and we might get a few more weeks before winter comes. But anyway, we won't sweat it. So much appreciated. Take care, everyone, and we will see you next Saturday night, same time, same place. Take care.